Hi everyone, I'm Scott from Sharky's Greenhouses and Be Your Neighbor Fertilizer, and today we're talking about Calibrachoas, also known as Million Bells. A lot of people know them as Million Bells, but that's really just a brand name for Calibrachoas. So Calibrachoas, they're not petunias, they're a totally different type of flower, and they're kind of like a little, almost mini petunia, and a lot of people love them. But a lot of people have trouble with Calibrachoas, and I like to remind my greenhouse customers, you know, Calibrachoas, the thing that you really need to know about them is they're not forgiving. So we're so used to petunias, and petunias are a little forgiving. Calibrachoas, they are not forgiving. So what does that mean? Well, you really have to have your game right on, and you have to have your game on with watering especially. So you can't be overwatering them, you can't be underwatering them. You really need to be right down the middle with the Calibrachoas because they're not forgiving. They will fuss and throw a fit and give up the ghost if you push them and push them and push them. So they're not, you know, a flower or a hanging basket that you can just, oh, I'm gonna just water it whenever I want to, whenever it's convenient for me. That's gonna be a dead hanging basket in 48 hours. So don't waste the time or money on Calibrachoas if you're not gonna care for them. And you know, let us know, have you had trouble with Calibrachoas in the past? Because you know, when we've talked about this, you know, like on our Facebook or you know, done a post about Calibrachoas, a lot of you had chimed in and said, yeah, I have a lot of trouble with Calibrachoas. So that's really what we want to address today. And go ahead and comment and let us know, have you had trouble with Calibrachoas? What trouble have you had? So let's kind of get into this. You know, so first we've already said they're not forgiving. So our watering really needs to be right on, right down the middle. And of course, we don't want to be watering these till the water comes out that's way too wet. That will kill your callies. And we don't want to just let them, they can go a little bit drier. Now, in my greenhouses, I like to let them dry down just a little bit. So I run them a little bit drier. I don't want to consistently overwater them because that's a real good way to kill them. So I tend to go a little bit drier. And you know, if you are not confident in, you know, what's too wet and what's, you know, too dry, use a moisture meter. And so Class C Casita makes these are nice. This is a 3-in-1 moisture meter. And so it has the moisture level, it has light, and it has pH. So you can test the pH of the soil. And that's another thing that's a determiner. A lot of problems could come up from that pH being off. So like I said, Calibrachoas are fussy, and you know, if things are kind of off, they'll show it. So you can find this. We have this on our BeYourNeighbor.com website. If you know, again, if you're not confident in your ability to gauge that moisture, these little moisture meters are fantastic. And you just stick them in here, right in, and take a reading, and it will tell you where that plant is. So callies are also heavy feeders. So that's another thing to know. And what I mean by heavy feeders is they like their fertilizer. They like to be fed. So our Be Your Neighbor fertilizer is perfect for them. And it also really, it helps to balance out that pH. So we have a lot of good luck with our Calibrachoas. So the Be Your Neighbor fertilizer is fantastic for them. Make sure that you are feeding them for sure once a week. And in fact, a lot of people will put their Calibrachoas on a constant feed. What do I mean by a constant feed? Well, just lower the level, the concentration of the fertilizer, and you know, every time that you're watering, it can get a little bit of fertilizer. Instead of mixing up a batch that's full strength, go ahead and dilute it down and go ahead and give your callies a little bit of feed every time you water that when you check them in the morning. So check them in the morning, lift them, make sure that they're watered, not running through, and they're not too dry. So right in that middle is where we want to be. So callies also go in full sun. They need to have that sunlight. Now, one of the good things is we don't need to deadhead them. So Calibrachoas, they're not a flower that we have to deadhead, which is, you know, something that a lot of people like, is that they don't need to deadhead them. If you need to get some of that off, you just go ahead and brush it. It's real easy to do. Now, there is an alternative. So we've found a lot of our customers have trouble, as many of you probably have, with Calibrachoas, and there is an alternative. So most people, most of my customers that come in the greenhouse, they're maybe just looking for that smaller, more petite flower. And they don't know that this and this are two totally different flowers. You know, they're looking for a Calibrachoa, but that can be troublesome. But this, check this out, this is actually a mini petunia, and they look the same. But the fact that this is a petunia, and it means that it performs like a petunia and it forgives like a petunia, is great for my customers. So a lot of times I'll steer our greenhouse customers, hey, you know, you like this, but you know, this is kind of like a higher level. Like, you need to be on your game with the Calibrachoas. Try out a mini petunia. They perform like a petunia, they forgive, and they're just a lot easier to care for, and they turn out stunning. And still, again, this one you don't have to deadhead at all either. So if you're considering it, you like this look, maybe consider a mini petunia. It might just work out a little bit better for you, and you won't be frustrated like you might be with the Calibrachoa. So check that out, and go to your local greenhouse and ask them if they have mini petunias. So that is a good way to get away from the Calibrachoas. Now, I have a lot of customers that do fantastic with them, and that's great. If you do good, then just keep doing what you're doing something right. But if you're having trouble, then you're going to have to change up your game and figure out what you're doing wrong. And it's probably in the watering, or you're not feeding them. So you really need to get those on. Hey, if you're liking our videos, please be sure to give us a thumbs up, and also follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos, a lot of how-to videos, so check those out. And also be sure to head on over to our BeatYourNeighbor.com website, where we have the moisture meter, we have the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer, we have a lot of products there, but also we have a whole bunch of blog articles and tips and tricks that you can use to further your knowledge. So that's all over at BeatYourNeighbor.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.